Our resistance band lat pull-downs are a strength move for those lats, the back up here, those muscles right under the armpits. So for this move, there's a couple different ways you can do it. First, you're going to want to use that resistance band. You're going to want to either throw it over the top portion if you have a bar at home. Most of you don't have a bar at home probably, so you're going to want to use that door anchor. That's that little round kind of ball with that hook on, or with that strap on it that you can hook on to your resistance band, open up your door, toss it over the top of your door, and close your door so it stays attached up there. So you're going to want to use that band with that attachment. Then you're typically going to want to come down onto your knees so you can get full range of motion with resistance. If you find that maybe you have a shorter door, or maybe your bands are a little bit long, or it's a little bit too easy, what you can also do instead of coming down onto those knees to get a little further down is you can come all the way down to a seated position as well for this. That'll give you a little bit more range of motion, and you'll be able to continue a little higher up before you hit that slack in those resistance bands. So that seated position works fine as well. Next, what you're going to want to do to get in that setup is you're going to want to grab those two handles, palms facing away from you. We want to hinge over slightly to where we're kind of in line with that band. So I'm not going to be leaning back like this to where I'm pulling to my chest. That's not going to use quite as much of my lats. I want to have just a slight lean forward here so that I'm pulling in line with the rest of my body. What I'm then going to do is I'm going to pull my elbows down at my sides, squeezing my shoulder blades down and back as I squeeze, and then I'm going to get that stretch as I come all the way up. Again, if I extend my arms all the way and I find that I'm hitting slack in those bands, there's no resistance at the top, I'm going to come down to that seated position and I'm going to perform that same movement. Pulling down and back, squeezing my shoulder blades, and then getting that good stretch as I come up on here. Common mistakes made on this one. Number one, not getting into the right position. So not coming down to where you get that slack out of that resistance band. Instead, up high on the knees or standing to where you have so much slack in here, you're not actually going to be working those lats. That's the number one most common thing. So make sure you get your good position. You find out whether you need to be seated, whether you need to be kneeling. Find out how close or how far away from that band you need to be in order to not have any slack when you get up at the top. And then make sure your torso is in line with that band. Once you have that position, the number two most common mistake here is using your arms and not focusing on squeezing your lats or your shoulder blades down and back. This specific exercise is one that involves a lot of mind-muscle connection. That means thinking about the muscle group you're trying to work. It's easy to kind of cheat and take over with the biceps or the arms. So kind of just pulling down like this instead of really thinking about squeezing down and back on those shoulder blades. So think about when you're pulling those elbows down and back, you're almost like you're sticking that chest up towards the ceiling as you squeeze those shoulder blades. Get that good squeeze right underneath of your armpits, down into the middle of those shoulder blades, and then get that full stretch as you come on up. All the way up here at the top, and then back down, stick that chest up, squeeze those shoulder blades again. This is a great movement for working those lats that help you with pull-ups and chin-ups. This is a muscle group that does not get worked very often on other exercises. Start off with a light band, so a smaller diameter band. Get used to that movement first. Get used to squeezing and feeling that contraction in those shoulder blades. Then start to progress up to those heavier bands to where you find one that is getting that burn in by the end. Remember, especially since lats are a stronger muscle group, you can always add in numerous bands. You can always toss in 2 bands. Grab both of those handles and that will increase the difficulty on those pull downs as well. So make those adjustments in the diameter of the bands, and then if you need to, add in other bands also to increase that difficulty.